The polished brass handle of the service cart is cold under my palms. It's the last run of the night, or, technically, the first run of the morning. My name is Maya Delgado. I'm 27, and for the last 8 months, I've been a ghost at the St. Roch Hotel in Midtown. The night shift is a special kind of invisible. We're the ones who vacuum the plush carpets when no one is walking on them, who scrub the marble floors until they reflect the moonlight hitting the East River. I clean the common areas, but my main gig, the one that pays the extra differential, is the Vescari penthouse. The Vescari family's real estate corporation keeps the entire top floor on a permanent lease. Most nights, it's empty. Tonight, it's empty. But empty doesn't mean clean. I push the cart into the massive living room. The air smells like expensive leather and something sharp, like ozone. I go through the motions. My work is meticulous. I separate the glossy magazines from the heavy bond paper, the green glass from the clear. I empty the trash. In the master suite, I remake the bed, though it hasn't been slept in. My signature, the thing that sometimes gets me an extra 20 left on the nightstand, is the towels. I fold 2 of the heavy white bath towels into a pair of swans, their necks bowed together, a little bit of stupid hope. Every swan I fold, every piece of cardboard I recycle, is a prayer against the mountain of debt I'm standing under. $61,000. The number lives in my stomach, a cold, heavy knot. It's the cost of my stepfather's new heart valve, the cost of him being alive. He's a good man, and he raised me and my brother, Nico, after our father left, so I do the math. $61,000 divided by my hourly wage, minus rent, minus utilities, minus food for me, Nico, and our rescue dog, Lima. The answer is always never. My brother, Nico, is 19. He's smart, trying to get his basics done at the community college, but I see the way the guys on our block in Bushwick look at him. They see a young man who needs money. I need this job to keep him out of that life. So I stay invisible. The man who pays for this penthouse, Luca Vescari, I've never met. I've seen him, of course. Once, on the security feed in the staff break room, getting into a black car so shiny it looked wet, and on the cover of Forbes, looking like a shark in a $3,000 suit. He's 35. The whispers in the hotel paint 2 pictures of him. He's the businessman rebuilding half of Manhattan. He's the philanthropist funding clinics in the outer boroughs. But the other whispers, the ones from the old-timers in the laundry room, say he's the one who really runs the city. They say he uses that clean money to wash away the dirt, and that he protects his neighborhoods with his own set of rules. I finish the suite, pull my cart into the service elevator, and clock out. It's almost 1 in the morning by the time I push through the staff exit, the 1st of November, and the rain isn't just falling, it's being thrown, a cold, miserable sleet that slices right through my thin jacket. The St. Roch is a bubble of warm light and security. The street is not. My walk to the 50th Street station is usually quick. Tonight, the street is dead. Just the hiss of tires on wet asphalt and the sound of my own worn-out sneakers. I'm halfway down the block when I hear them. 2 sets of footsteps, too fast, splashing in the puddles behind me. My heart doesn't just beat, it kicks, hard, against my ribs. I clutch the strap of my bag. It's got nothing in it, half a sandwich, my keys, and a cheap burner phone, but it's mine. They cut me off before I reach the corner, stepping out from the darkness of an alleyway that smells like wet garbage and stale beer. "Mo, give me the bag, sweetie." The first one is tall, skinny, his face hidden by a hoodie. The second one is built like a brick wall, shaved head glistening in the rain. "I don't have anything," I stammer. "Please." The tall one rips the bag from my shoulder, the strap snapping. He empties it onto the wet pavement. Keys, sandwich, the phone. "This it," he scoffs. He picks up the phone and, with a flick of his wrist, smashes it against the brick wall. The screen spiders, then goes dark. My connection to the world, my alarm clock. I whimper, backing away, but the bald one grabs my arm. That's when I see it. It's small, Clipped to the strap of the bald man's jacket, a cheap digital audio recorder, the kind a student might use. A tiny red light is blinking. "Recording, miss?" He leans in, and he's not shouting, he's muttering, almost like he's reading a line. This is a message for Viscari. He doesn't own this street. I freeze. Viscari. The man's eyes drop from my face to my jacket. In the struggle, my coat is pulled open, revealing the small, embroidered patch on my uniform polo, the St. Roch private floor. His grip on my arm tightens. His eyes, dead and cold, lock onto mine. "You work for Viscari." I don't have time to answer. The fist comes out of nowhere. It's not a slap. It's a punch, heavy and solid, like a hammer hitting concrete. It connects with my left cheekbone, and the world just stops. There's a flash of white-hot static, a sound like a wet thud inside my own head. My knees give out. The last thing I feel before I black out is his grip on my bicep, a vice of 4 fingers, holding me up just long enough for the darkness to take me. Then he lets go, and I hit the pavement. Pain wakes me up, pain in the cold rain. I'm lying on the sidewalk. My bag is gone. My phone is in pieces. My head is throbbing with a deep, sick pulse. My entire face feels swollen, my eye puffing shut. They're gone. I don't know how long I was out. A few minutes, maybe. I push myself up, my ribs screaming in protest. Every part of me aches. I manage to grab my keys from the puddle. The walk home to Bushwick is a blur of humiliation and cold. I have no phone. No money for the subway. I have to walk, then sneak onto the train when a crowd moves through the turnstile. Every step sends a jolt through my ribs. When I finally get my key into the lock of our apartment, I almost fall through the door. Lima, our pit mix, is the first to greet me, whining softly, nosing at my wet clothes. Then Nico is there, jolting up from the couch where he fell asleep studying. His face goes from sleepy confusion to pure horror. "Maya, oh my God, what happened? Who did this?" "I'm okay," I lie, my voice thick. I got mugged." He helps me to the bathroom, his hands shaking. "We're going to the hospital. We have to call the cops." I look at my reflection in the cracked mirror. The left side of my face is a disaster. A dark, ugly bloom is spreading from my eye down to my jaw. My lip is split. "No," I say, and the word is final. "No ER. Maya, you could be seriously hurt." "No, and we'll get a bill for another $5,000. I shoot back, the anger covering the fear. "We can't, Nico, I can't." He sees the $61,000 mountain in my eyes. He knows I'm right. "Then the cops," he insists, his voice trembling with a rage I recognize. It's the kind of rage that gets young men in our neighborhood in trouble. "And say what?" I say, my whole body starting to shake. "They took my phone. I didn't see their faces. They'll take a report, and I'll miss my shift tomorrow. I can't miss my shift. I can't lose this job." This wasn't random. The blinking red light, the name, a message for Viscari. They used my face as a message board, and an idiot. I'm going to cover it up and go right back to work. The next morning is hell. I slept for maybe 2 hours. My side is a deep, agonizing purple. The imprint of 4 fingers is still visible on my bicep. I use Nico's concealer, a cheap stick he uses for acne. It's useless. It just makes the bruise look like a muddy, greenish-yellow horror. I pull my hair over that side of my face, take 4 ibuprofen, and put on my uniform. I walk into the St. Maroche through the staff entrance like a ghost. Every step hurts. I keep my head down, avoiding the light, avoiding everyone. I get my cart and head to the private floor. I just need to be invisible, clean the empty rooms, fold my swans, and leave. I'm in the main hallway, wiping down the console table, when the elevator dings. Not the service elevator, the private one. The polished bronze doors slide open. My heart stops. It's not the security footage this time. Luca Viscari steps out. He's flanked by 2 other men in suits, one of whom I recognize as his chief of security, Enzo Marchetti. He's taller than he looks on TV. The suit is dark charcoal, fitting him perfectly. He's not moving, he's gliding. He's in the middle of a sentence, talking to Enzo, his voice a low, smooth baritone. The offshore account must be finalized before the deal. I freeze. I'm supposed to be in a room, not in the hall. I press myself against the wall, trying to melt into the wallpaper, my head down, my hair curtaining my face. They walk past me. I can smell his cologne, that same expensive ozone scent from the penthouse. He's 2 steps past me when he stops. The other 2 men stop instantly. The silence in the hallway is absolute, heavy. I can feel him turning. I don't look up. Please, don't see me. Don't see me. Stay invisible. A pair of immaculate hand-stitched leather shoes enters my field of vision. He's standing right in front of me. I keep my eyes glued to the floor. My heart is a trapped bird. Look at me. It's not a request. It's a command, spoken so softly it's terrifying. Slowly, painfully, I lift my head. My hair falls away from my face. I can't hide the ruin, the swollen shut eye, the split lip, the grotesque purple and yellow stain across my cheek. I brace for him to be disgusted, to be angry that I'm here, looking like this, in his pristine hallway. Luca Vescari just looks, his eyes dark, almost black, don't scan my face. They examine it. He takes in the damage, his expression unreadable, carved from stone. He sees the concealer, he sees what's underneath. The hallway is silent. The air is so thick I can't breathe. His gaze is so intense it feels like a physical weight after what feels like a lifetime. He finally speaks. His voice is perfectly level, cold and precise. Who did this to you? My breath catches. The air in the hallway is too thick, too quiet. His question, who did this to you, isn't just a question. It's a demand. It's the sound of a judge asking for a name. I look at the knot of his silk tie, a gray so dark it's almost black. I can't meet his eyes. I tripped. The lie tastes like ash in my mouth, thick and wrong. On the subway stairs, coming home, it was wet from the rain. It's a pathetic excuse. We both know it. A fall doesn't leave the imprint of 4 fingers. Luca Vescari is silent for a long moment. He doesn't move, doesn't react. He just studies me. When he speaks again, his voice is even softer, which is somehow more threatening. You're lying, he states. It's not an accusation, it's a fact. Roll up your sleeve. A chill, entirely separate from the rain, snakes up my back. Sir, your sleeve, he repeats, his gaze unwavering. The arm they grabbed. My hand trembles. How does he know they grabbed my arm? I'm moving before I even decide to obey. Slowly, I push up the cuff of my standard issue polo shirt. The gasp comes from Enzo Marchetti, the man beside him. Under the harsh halogen light of the hallway, my bicep is a roadmap of the attack. It's a violent, mottled purple, stamped with 4 distinct, dark fingerprints, the perfect, horrifying imprint of the hand that held me while the other one... Luca stares at the marks. The mask of calm indifference cracks. Just for a second, a muscle in his jaw tightens. He didn't just hit me. He held me. This wasn't a random fall. This was a statement. He finally looks away from my arm, but not to me, and he looks at Enzo. Get the hall footage, Luca says, his voice all business now, sharp and cold as steel. Track her exit. I want her entire walk from the staff door to the 50th Street station. Every camera angle. Find the dark spots. Enzo nods, already tapping into his phone. Clock out was 12:47 a.m. Boss, the incident must have happened between 12:47 and 1:06, when she got on the train at 59th instead. I flinch. Of course they know. They know everything. Take her to the service lounge on 20. Luca orders the other man. Get Patel. Now. No, I hear myself say. The word weak but desperate. Please, I'm fine. I need to work. I can't pay for a doctor. My $61,000 mountain flashes in my mind. I can't add to it. I can't. Luca Vescari turns his full attention back to me. He takes a step closer. You're not working today, and you will not pay for Dr. Patel. Go. It's not a suggestion. I'm escorted gently, but firmly into the service elevator and taken to a staff lounge I've only ever cleaned. Dr. Patel is not what I expect. She's a small, older woman with kind eyes and brutally efficient hands. She arrives in under 10 minutes. She probes my ribs, and I suck in a sharp breath, hissing, "That's a cracked 7th rib," she diagnoses calmly, pressing lightly on my abdomen. Nothing vital seems damaged. She gently touches my face, her fingers cool. A significant hematoma around the left orbit, the jaw is bruised, not broken. She wraps my torso firmly with an elastic bandage. "You need rest, and this prescription." She hands me a slip of paper. I'm staring at it, my mind just calculating the cost of the exam, the bandage, the medicine, when Luca Viscari enters the room. "I can't accept this, sir," I say, my voice shaking. "I appreciate it, but I can't." He's standing by the window, looking out over the city he supposedly owns. "This happened because you were wearing my logo, Miss Delgado." He knows my name. Of course he does. "This," he continues, turning to face me, "is what happens when my world touches yours. It's my fault, not yours. I will cover it." He places a slim, black metal card on the table beside me. It's heavy. Just a name, L. Viscari, and a single phone number. If you feel dizzy, if the pain gets worse, you call that number. Doctor, Patel will be compensated. "Sir, it's done." He and Dr. Patel step into the hallway to speak privately. The door is thick, but it's left open a crack, and I'm invisible. Remember, I'm the help. People forget I can hear. "It's Dushku," I hear Enzo's voice, low and angry. He must have just returned. It has to be. He's been testing the Midtown line for weeks, pushing his guys into our territory. "This is sloppy for him," Luca's voice rumbles. "Attacking a cleaner." "That's the point. Boss, it's not sloppy. It's psychological. He's making you look weak, making it look like you can't even protect the people scrubbing your floors." There's a pause. My blood runs cold. "There's more," Enzo says. "My street contact confirmed it. The attackers, they were wearing recorders. The blinking red light, the muttering, a message for Viscari. They weren't just hitting her," Enzo continues. "They were filming it, or at least recording the audio. They want a clip. Luca. They want to put this online. Humiliate you." Arben Dushku. The name hangs in the air. An Albanian boss. Enzo called him. He's testing the borders, and he used my face as his weapon. My entire body goes cold. I'm not just a victim of a mugging. I'm a pawn in a war I didn't even know existed. A war between men like Luca Viscari and this Dushku. I should be terrified. I am terrified. I'm terrified of my medical debt. I'm terrified of being too injured to work. I'm terrified that Nico, seeing me like this, will do something stupid. Something fueled by that young man rage, and get himself tangled up in the very life I'm trying to avoid. And I should be terrified of the man in the hallway, Luca Viscari. He's talking about my assault as if it's a move on a chessboard. He's everything I've ever been warned about. He's the violence, the power, the darkness that swallows people whole. But a strange, guilty, powerful wave of relief washes over me. It's so strong, it makes me nauseous. For 8 months, I've been a ghost, fighting a battle against numbers on a bill. I've been unseen. Now, the most powerful man in the city is looking at my bruises as if they are a personal insult to him. Am I allowed to want this? Am I allowed to feel safe because this dangerous man is angry on my behalf? Dr. Patel leaves. Enzo is gone. The lounge is empty, except for me. I need to change. My uniform smells like rain and fear. I pull myself up, my cracked rib protesting, and walk to the linen supply closet down the hall. It's my territory. The small, windowless room smells of industrial bleach and clean, hot cotton. It's one of my favorite smells in the world. I'm fumbling with the buttons on my polo, my fingers shaking, when a shadow fills the doorway. It's Luca. He's too big for this tiny room. He fills the entire frame. I freeze, my hand at my collar. "They took your phone," he states. I nod dumbly. He holds out a box, a new smartphone, simple, dark, anonymous. This is a temporary replacement. It's programmed with one number, mine and Enzo's. That's it. I just stare at it. Thank you. I'm still half hidden behind a stack of folded bath towels. He takes a step inside. The air is suddenly gone from the room. He's not looking at my face now. He's looking at the wall. Maya. He says my name, and it's not a command this time. It's something else. Rougher, lower. I flinch, expecting him to be angry at me for being a liability. No one, he says, his voice a low vibration that I feel in my taped-up ribs, puts their hands on you. No one puts their hands on anyone under my protection. Do you understand? He looks at me. His eyes are dark, intense, and for the first time, they're not cold, they're hot. They will pay for this, he says. A shiver runs all the way down my spine, a shiver that has nothing to do with fear. It's the shocking, terrifying, undeniable feeling of being seen. He leaves me there. I'm sent home in a black car that's so quiet it feels like a vacuum. Nico is frantic when he sees me, but I tell him a condensed version of the truth. My boss found out. He had a doctor check me. He's handling it. The words sound strange coming out of my mouth. Handling it. Night falls. The painkillers make my head swim. I'm lying on the lumpy couch, icing my face. Lima pressed against my good side, when the new phone buzzes. It's not a call. It's not a text from Luca. It's a notification, a link, forwarded by Enzo. My stomach clenches. I click it. It's a grainy, dark video, posted on some trashy social media channel that glorifies street crime. It's me. It's short, maybe 15 seconds. It's shaky, filmed from the attacker's perspective. I see my own terrified face in the rain. I hear the sound of the punch, a sickening, wet thud that they amplified. I see myself hit the pavement. They cut it perfectly to look as brutal and cowardly as possible. And the caption, blasted across the top, caught on tape Viscari's employee beaten on his own turf, is Midtown safe anymore? My blood turns to ice. They did it. Arben Dushku. He posted it. He's using my face to start a war. The comments section is already exploding. My body is trembling. This is a nightmare. The phone buzzes again. A new message, this time in a secure channel I've been added to. It's a message from Luca Viscari to Enzo Marchetti, but I meant to see it. The order is simple, 5 words. Find them before sunrise. Sleep is impossible. The painkillers put a cotton wool fog in my head, but under it, the video plays on a loop. My face, the sound of the impact, the caption Viscari's employee. I'm a piece of property that got vandalized, and now the owner is angry. That final order, find them before sunrise, echoes in the pre-dawn quiet of my apartment. It's 4 a.m. Nico is asleep, his breathing heavy in the room next to mine. Lima is a warm, solid weight at my feet. The new phone buzzes on the coffee table. It's Enzo. We have them. Stay here. A car is coming for you at 7 a.m. Have them. My blood runs cold. I text back, my fingers clumsy. What are you doing? No reply. The car that arrives at 7 is another black sedan. The driver doesn't speak, just holds the door. I feel like I'm being taken into evidence. He doesn't take me to the St. West Rock's grand lobby, but to a service entrance in the back, leading to a basement level I've never seen. It's all concrete and steel doors, a different world from the plush carpets upstairs. Enzo meets me at the elevator. He wants you to see this, he says, his face grim. He wants you to know you're safe. Where is he? Where are they? Enzo just nods toward a door labeled Security Operations. He leads me into a dark room, lit only by a wall of monitors. On one side, there's a window, a two-way mirror, looking into a brightly lit, sterile conference room. And my heart stops. It's them, the 2 men from the alley. The tall, skinny one, Barty, I'll learn later, is slumped in a chair, his face pale. The other one, the bald one built like a brick wall, is standing, vibrating with a useless, cornered animal anger. His name, I hear Enzo mutter, is Dorian Cola. Dos, they call him. Luca Vascari is in the room with them. He's not in a suit, and he's in dark pants and a simple gray long-sleeved shirt. The sleeves are pushed up, revealing strong forearms. He looks different, less like a CEO, more like something ancient and lethal. I'm shaking so hard I have to grip the console behind me. I want to run, but I can't look away. "It was just a warning, man," Dawes is saying, his voice gravelly. I can hear them through a crisp speaker system. "A message. Your boss is weak. Everybody knows it. Dushku's moving in." Luca just sits on the edge of the conference table, perfectly still. He doesn't react to the taunt. "Who gave the order?" Luca's voice is calm, almost conversational. "Go to hell," Dawes spits. Enzo steps into the room, and I see him palm something small and metallic. My stomach lurches. I'm about to see something I can't unsee. "Enzo," Luca says, his voice quiet but absolute. Enzo stops. He looks at Luca, confused. "Eto, he's a gambler," so Luca says, not taking his eyes off Dawes. "He owes $43,500. Not to us, to Dushku's own bookie." Dawes' bravado evaporates. His face goes white. "You failed," Luca continues, his voice methodical. "You were told to send a message, and instead, you got caught. You put your hands on her, and you got caught. The video you were supposed to leak, we leaked it first, to a different audience." He gestures to Enzo. Enzo places a tablet on the table. He plays a video. It's not the one I saw. It's security footage from a camera across the street, angled down from a cigarette machine. It's high definition. It clearly shows Dawes' face. It clearly shows him rigging the audio recorder. It clearly shows the punch. "Arben Dushku doesn't tolerate failure," Luca says softly. "And he really doesn't tolerate failure that gets caught on camera. If we let you go, you know what he does to you for owing him 43 grand and failing this publicly? You're a dead man." Dawes is breathing hard. He's trapped. "Orgi," Luca says, leaning in. "You tell me who gave the order. You tell me everything. And I make that debt disappear. I'll even give you this." He slides the tablet. "Insurance. So Dushku knows you're not the one who talked. He'll think Barty did." Dawes looks at his partner, then back at Luca. He sees his only way out. "It was Ergi Tana," Dawes whispers, defeated. "Dushku's right hand. He gave the order. He said to make it hurt and make sure the Vascari logo was visible." I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Luca didn't use his fists. He didn't need to. He used a different kind of weapon, information. He used the enemy's own system against him. He just dismantled that man, piece by piece, without leaving a mark. Luca stands up. "Enzo will handle your release and your debt." He walks out of the room, not even glancing at them again. He walks directly into the observation room, his gaze finding me in the dark. "It's over," he says. "You're just letting him go." "His life is over either way," Luca says, his voice flat. "This way, Dushku is cleaning up his own mess. Now, let's talk about you and your brother." He offers to move Nico and me into a residence at the St. Croce. "A different hotel, then," he suggests. When he sees my expression, "A private apartment, you'll be secure. Dushku won't be able to get near you." I look at this man, who just calmly navigated a proxy war before breakfast, and I see the cage he's offering me. It's a beautiful, safe, golden cage, and the $61,000 debt in my head screams at me to take it, to be safe, to be kept. "No," I say, and my own voice surprises me. Luca's eyebrows raise, just slightly. "I can't," I say, finding my strength. "I won't be owned. I won't be kept. If I hide, he wins. He's already made me a victim. I won't be a prisoner, too." I look him in the eye. I need to live my life. He studies me, a long, assessing look. I expect him to argue, to override me. Instead, he nods. "Then we do it your way, but not without protection." He outlines a new plan, a dedicated driver, the same man from this morning, to take me to and from work, a discreet surveillance car on my street in Bushwick, 24/7, and he taps the new phone in my hand. The side button, Press it 3 times. Enzo's team will be at your door in under 90 seconds, day or night. Is that acceptable? I nod, a strange wave of respect and fear washing over me. It's acceptable. 2 days pass. My face is still a ruin of yellow and purple, but the swelling is down. The cracked rib is a constant, sharp reminder. I'm on paid leave, a management decision. They called it... I'm in the staff lounge on the 20th floor, the one doctor, Patel, used, waiting for Enzo to give me an update on the new security locks for my apartment. The silence is making me crazy. The door opens, and it's Luca. He's alone. He's holding 2 takeaway coffee cups. He hands one to me. I figured you could use this. I take it. My fingers brush his. It's like a tiny, static shock. I look at the cup, and on the side, in marker oat milk, 2 pumps sugar-free cinnamon dolce, 1/4 hot water. I stare at it. It's my exact order. My once-a-month payday treat from the coffee shop near my apartment. How did you know? I whisper. I pay attention, he says simply. He sips his own, a plain black espresso. You're a creature of habit, Maya. You get the same thing every time. The barista in Bushwick knows you. He knows my coffee shop. He's had his people watching me. The paranoia is instant, but it's immediately replaced by something else, a flush of heat. He didn't just see a victim's face. He's been seeing me, the invisible girl. He's been paying attention. Thank you, I say, my voice thick. We stand there for a moment in the sterile lounge, the air suddenly charged. It's so quiet I can hear the hum of the ice machine down the hall. He's standing too close. I can smell that ozone and leather scent again, but under it, just the smell of clean soap and coffee. He looks at my mouth, just for a second, and my heart does that painful kick again. The tension is a physical thing, a wire pulled taut between us. A kiss is hovering in the air. It's right there. I think I even lean in. He takes a small, sharp step back. The wire snaps. I met with Dushku, he says, the business voice back, all heat gone. You what? This morning. A restaurant in Astoria, neutral ground. Is it done? He takes a long drink of his espresso. I told him to leave my people alone. He smiled. He apologized. He said it was a misunderstanding by his subordinates. So he backed down, I ask, hopeful. Luca's eyes are dark. Then, as we were leaving, he put something on the table, a small, white box, the same prescription doctor. Patel gave you for the pain, the one for your ribs. My coffee cup trembles in my hand. He wasn't apologizing. He was threatening me. He was telling Luca, I know who she is. I know where she is. I know what you did to fix her, and I can get to her again. He's not just testing the borders anymore. Maya, Luca says, his voice rough. He's making it personal. I didn't want this world to touch you. I set the coffee down, my hands shaking too badly. I look at this powerful, dangerous man who looks for a split second defeated. It's too late, I say, my voice flat. It already touched me. Luca, the second your name was spoken in that alley, I was in your world. The only question is what we do now. Before he can answer, Enzo bursts into the room, his face pale, holding his phone. Boss, Dushku didn't just threaten, he fired. He turns the phone screen. It's not the grainy video from the alley, it's a new campaign. 12 posts, all at once, from different crime story influencers. The narrative is completely new. It's a picture of me, a candid photo from weeks ago, walking Lima, and a picture of Dorian Dawes Cola, looking bruised and terrified. An old photo, Enzo says, but it works. The headline, Brooklyn janitor kidnapped by Viscari's goons. Viscari interrogates innocent man, Dorian Cola, after using his employee as bait. They've twisted it. They're painting me as a conspirator and Luca as the villain who kidnaps innocent workers. Dushku isn't just trying to win the streets. He's trying to ruin Luca's name, the one thing he's been trying to clean. And my face, my name, my life, we're the weapon he's using. Luca stares at the screen, his face hardening into that stone-like mask again. He looks from the phone to me, his eyes searching my face, which is now pale with a new kind of terror. The question he asked me in the hallway, "Who did this to you?" is still hanging in the air. Only now, it's not just about two men in an alley. It's about a man trying to destroy us both with lies, and Luca Viscari is going to have to find a new way to answer. The smear campaign from Dushku's influencers hangs in the air of the staff lounge, thick and toxic. My picture, my name, twisted into a lie. Luca is on the phone, his back to me, but I can hear the ice in his voice. I don't care about the optics. Enzo, I care about the other one. Find him. He hangs up. The silence that follows is heavy. Enzo is running down the second attacker, Luca says, turning to me. He looks tired, but his eyes are sharp. The skinny one? Barty. He's trying to get out of Red Hook. "What are you going to do?" I whisper. "I'm going to find out who gave the order," he says. "You should go home. The driver is waiting in the garage. You're safe." I look at the phone in his hand, the one showing my face, labeling me as bait. I think of the blinking red light in the alley, the punch, the cold pavement. "No," I say. Luca stops. I'm not hiding," I say, and my voice is stronger than I expect. "You found him. I want to see him. I want to be there." I'm the invisible girl, the one who melts into the wallpaper. But I'm done melting. I need to see the face of the man who haunted my sleep for the last 2 nights. Luca studies me, his expression unreadable. I expect him to refuse, to tell me it's not a place for me. Instead, he just gives a short, sharp nod. "All right. But you stay behind the glass. You stay with me." This time, we don't go to the basement. It's almost 5 a.m., the city just starting to stir. We go to a side security office near the hotel's loading bay, a place of steel desks and concrete floors. Enzo's men bring him in, Barty. He's smaller than I remember. Soaked from the rain and shaking, the malice I remember from the alley is gone, replaced by a pathetic animal terror. They put him in a small, empty room with a single table and 2 chairs. It's exactly like the room where they held Dawes. I'm in the observation room next door, with Luca. The two-way mirror makes me feel like a ghost. Luca doesn't go in. He stays with me. He presses the button on the intercom. "Barty." His voice, amplified, fills the small room. Barty jumps, his head whipping around. "Look at the mirror," Luca commands. Barty's eyes, wide with panic, seem to stare right at me. He can't see us, but I can see the moment he realizes who is watching. Luca doesn't ask why, and he doesn't ask what happened. He asks the only question that matters. Who did this to her? Barty just disintegrates. It's not a confession, it's a collapse. He starts sobbing. Heavy, wet sounds. "It wasn't me, I swear to God. It wasn't me. It was Dawes. Dawes hit her. And he had the recorder. I just held the bag. I didn't touch her." "Who gave the order?" Luca's voice is unchanged, a flat, cold line. "Ergi Thana," Barty wails. "It was Thana, Dushku's right hand. He gave Dawes the recorder. He said make it hurt and make sure the Viscari logo was visible. Please, man, I got a kid. I was just there, I swear. I didn't know what it was going to be." Ergi Thana, the lieutenant, the one who gave the order. The name lands in the quiet room. I brace myself. I expect Luca to nod at Enzo, to give the order to make this man disappear. My stomach clenches. Instead, Luca turns to Enzo, who is standing in our doorway. "Call Detective Miller at the 88th Precinct. Tell him we've got the man who's been pushing those counterfeit handbags through the Red Hook terminal. Tell him we have a positive ID." Enzo blinks. "Boss." "He's a 2-bit thief." "Enzo," Luca says, his voice clipped. "He's worthless to us, but he's a solid arrest for Miller. Add the assault charge. Give him the high-definition footage from the cigarette machine camera, the clean copy. Let the DA handle him." I let out a shaky breath. "You're letting him go to the police." Luca turns to me, his face grim. He's not going. He's being put away. Maya, but he's being put away by the system. He's a public problem, so he gets a public solution. He didn't use violence. He didn't sink to their level. He used the law. A different kind of power. A cold, precise. and terrifyingly smart power. My knees feel weak with relief, but another feeling is coiling underneath it, fear. This is so much bigger than a street fight. Luca is playing a chess game with the NYPD as one of his pieces. Just then, Enzo, who is on his phone, curses. "Boss, you need to see this." He angles the screen. "It just posted, 30 seconds ago. Anonymous account." It's a new post, a photo of Barty, looking bloody and bruised, a mugshot. "But you didn't," I whisper, looking at the man in the other room, who's just sitting there, crying. "It's an old photo," Enzo says, his voice tight with anger. "A prior arrest, maybe 2 years old. Look at the caption. Vescari's thugs grab second innocent man. Barty interrogated at dawn. Vescari's war on the working class continues." "Dushku," Luca says, his voice flat. "He was ready. He knew we'd catch him. And he had the counter-narrative locked and loaded. He doesn't care about Barty. He's just using him to paint me as a monster. This is the real war. Not the one in the alley, the one on the screen. And Dushku is one step ahead." My mind is spinning. I feel sick. I need to check on Nico. The thought is sudden and overwhelming. I pull out the new phone Luca gave me, but my hand brushes something else in my pocket. When Luca's team gave me the phone, they gave me a second item, a cheap, black plastic digital watch. "It's ugly," Enzo had said, "but the tracker is better than the one on the phone. And if you press the light button 4 times, it sends a silent distress signal to our phones, an SOS, just in case." I hadn't worn it. I gave it to Nico. "He's the one in Bushwick," I'd argued. "He's the one who's at risk." I'd made him promise to wear it, just until this was over. My hand closes around the watch in my pocket. I'd taken it back this morning to set the time. I'd forgotten to give it back to him. No, wait. I pull it out. In the top right corner of the digital display, a tiny red icon is flashing. SOS. My blood doesn't just run cold, it stops. "Nico." The word is barely a breath. Luca turns to me instantly. "What?" "The watch. I gave Nico the other one, the one I was supposed to be wearing. I told him if he was ever scared, to press the button." My voice is rising, hysteria creeping in. He pressed the button. "Enzo," Luca snaps, "get a location on that second tracker. Now." Enzo is already typing, his face pale. He's not at home. He's Gowanus, an industrial block, 3rd Avenue and 9th Street. He's moving, but not fast. "He said he got a job," I whisper, the pieces falling into place, each one colder and sharper than the last. A freelance delivery gig, $100 to pick up a box. Oh my God. The blood drains from Luca's face. He knows. "Burner phones," he says, the words like poison. "Dushku's network. They didn't just target you. Maya, they targeted your family." Get the car, Yunan," he barks at Enzo. "Tell the driver." He stops, shoving his phone into his pocket. "No, I'm driving." The black sedan feels like a coffin as we tear through the pre-dawn streets. Luca is behind the wheel, his movements economical and lethally precise. I'm in the passenger seat, my whole body vibrating. "Enzo is 2 blocks behind us," he says, his voice a low growl. His eyes never stop moving, scanning the road, the mirrors, the alleys. "He just wanted money." I choke out. "He heard me on the phone with the collections agency for the 61,000. He just wanted to help." "They knew that," Lucas says, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "They knew he was vulnerable. They used him." We find him, under the roaring shadow of the Gowanus Expressway, on a street of silent warehouses. Nico is standing next to his bicycle, holding a heavy cardboard box. He looks small, young, and completely terrified. Luca pulls the car to a sharp, angled stop. I throw the door open, screaming his name. "Nico!" He looks up, his face a mask of relief that instantly turns to confusion and shame. "Maya, what are you?" "Get in the car. Now leave the box." The roar of engines answers me, not cars. 2 motorcycles, black and unmarked, peel out from a dark alley, blocking the street in front of us. The riders are in black helmets, their visors reflecting the dim streetlights. "Get in," Luca roars. Nico drops the bike and scrambles into the back seat, slamming the door just as the front motorcycle revs, holding its ground. Luca doesn't hesitate. He doesn't try to negotiate. He yanks the gear into reverse, swings the wheel hard, and the massive sedan jumps the curb, tires screaming, landing on the parallel service road. The bikes are on us in a second. They're fast, weaving like angry hornets. One of them pulls up right alongside my window. The rider turns his helmeted head. I can't see his face, but I see him lift his hand. He taps the bullet-resistant glass with something small and metallic. A warning, a taunt. I scream. Luca doesn't flinch. He jerks the wheel to the right, slamming the sedan's armored side panel directly into the motorcycle. There is a sickening crunch of metal on metal, a shower of sparks. The bike wobbles, spins out, and crashes into a row of parked construction vehicles. "One down," Luca says, his voice perfectly calm. The other bike is on his side now, faster, but before it can make a move, Enzo's black SUV, running without lights, bursts from a cross street, cutting off the bike's path. The rider lays the bike down in a controlled skid, hops off, and sprints into the darkness of the warehouse district. Enzo's men pile out to secure the scene, but Luca doesn't stop. He floors it, accelerating onto the BQE. The car is silent except for the sound of my ragged breathing and Nico's quiet sobs from the back seat. We don't speak until we're back in Bushwick. The sun is just starting to bleed gray light into the sky. "I'm sorry, Maya," Nico whispers as we climb the stairs. I saw the ad online. Courier needed. $100. I just wanted to help with the bills." "We'll talk later," I say, my voice numb. Luca follows us inside. Our apartment looks small, cheap, and fragile. Lima is whining, sensing the tension. Enzo and 2 other men are already waiting for us in the hallway, having beaten us back. They are carrying heavy-duty toolboxes. Luca walks through my tiny living room. He looks at the flimsy chain on the door. He looks at the old, single-pane windows and the rattling fire escape. He just nods, once, to Enzo. For the next hour, they work. They're not quiet. They're efficient. They pull the old lock off my door and replace it with a heavy-duty steel deadbolt and a smart lock with a keypad. They drill and install small, white motion sensors on every window, including the one in my bedroom that leads to the fire escape. Nico and I just sit at the kitchen table, watching as my home is transformed into a secure location. When they're done, the apartment is silent again, but it feels different, solid. Enzo and his men leave. Luca stays. He's standing by the newly secured living room window, looking out as the first real light of dawn hits the buildings across the street. The first sunrise. He turns to me, my bruised face, my terrified brother, my fortified apartment. He's taken in the entire scope of the damage. He looks at me, and his voice is softer than I've ever heard it, as soft as a blanket, but with a core of steel. He's not just asking about the alley. He's asking about the lies, the video, the trap for my brother. He's asking about everything. "Maya, who did this to your family." I look back at him. The shaking in my hands has stopped. I am filled with a cold, clear, pure anger. I am not a victim. I am not bait. I am a target, and for the first time, I know the name of the man who is aiming. I meet his gaze, and I don't look away. Arben Dushku. My words hung in the air of my tiny apartment. Arben Dushku. Saying his name out loud felt like breaking a fever. Luca Vescari just nodded, his face a mask of cold resolution. He had his target. He didn't move like a brute. He moved like a surgeon. The next evening, he called me, not on the new, secure phone, but in person. He had me brought to the St. Rush, to the penthouse. It was the first time I'd been there when he was present. "I'm not going to war, Maya," he said, standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city lights looked like a scattered handful of diamonds. "Dushku wants a street fight. He wants me to send men with bats. He wins that fight, because that's the only one he knows how to have. We're going to fight on my ground." "What ground is that?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Legitimacy," he said. "He spent a week trying to destroy mine. I'm going to use it to end him." He told me the plan: a private dinner downstairs in the oldest restaurant in Little Italy. It was a place his father had favored. "I'm bringing the community council leaders," he explained, "and the district attorney from Manhattan." My blood ran cold. "The DA, but the police." "The DA owes me, Luca said, dismissing it with a wave. "A zoning variance from 6 years ago that saved his brother's reputation. He will listen, but he won't act just for me. He'll see a mob boss trying to consolidate power. He needs a reason to believe this is for the community." He turned to me. "That's where you come in. I need a character witness. Someone clean. Someone they trust. Who trusts you." "I don't know anyone like that." "Yes, you do," he said. "Father Rinaldi, from St. Agnes in your old neighborhood. Your family has known him for 20 years. I was stunned. The depth of his research into me was terrifying and comforting. I made the call. Father Rinaldi, his voice kind and familiar, agreed instantly when I told him I was in trouble. I didn't go to the dinner. I was the reason for it, but not a part of it. I waited in the penthouse, pacing the expensive rugs I used to vacuum, feeling like a ghost in my own life. He returned just before 10. He had undone his tie. "It's done," he said. He poured 2 glasses of water. "Father Rinaldi, he didn't vouch for me. He vouched for you. He told them about your stepfather's medical debt. He told them what Dushku did to you and to Nico." He explained the deal he'd struck. He handed the district attorney a dossier, thick and heavy, compiled by Enzo. It wasn't about assaults or street crews. It was bank transfers, shell corporations, wire fraud. "I gave him Dushku," Luca said. "A perfect, clean, federal case for money laundering and racketeering. The DA gets the biggest bust of his career." "And you?" I asked. "What do you get?" "I promised the council that the petty crime in our districts would drop by 50% before Christmas. I'll fund it myself. A youth employment program, cleaning up the alleys, more security." He took a drink of water. I trade my dirty power for clean, public responsibility. He had turned my assault into a civic negotiation. But the night wasn't over. Dushku was arrogant. He was still riding high on his media campaign. He'd heard whispers of Luca's meeting, and he saw it as weakness. "He's called a meeting," Enzo reported, entering the penthouse. His face was tight. A show of power. He summoned his top people to the Staten Island docks. He's expecting the boss to show up, to bend the knee. Luca smiled. It was a cold, thin expression. "The shipment. The one from the manifest Enzo found." "It's arriving tonight," Enzo confirmed. "Is he going?" I asked, my heart hammering against my cracked rib. "No," Luca said, looking out the window again, toward the harbor. "I won't be there." I spent the next 3 hours in a state of suspended terror. Luca was on the phone, his voice a low, steady murmur. He was at his desk, a general commanding a silent battlefield. Enzo was on speakerphone, his voice low, reporting from a surveillance van parked somewhere with a view of the docks. "They're all here." Enzo whispered, "Dushku, Thana, the whole crew. They're laughing. The container ship is docking. They're moving to unload." Luca looked at his watch. "The Port Authority's maintenance schedule. It's very precise. They're about to have a problem with the grid." "What?" I breathed. 3, 2, 1. Luca counted down. On the other end of the line, I heard Enzo suck in his breath. "The lights are out. The entire dock just went dark. Total blackout." "A scheduled repair," Luca said to me, his eyes glittering. "I just helped them set the time." "Holy," Enzo's voice was sharp. "Boss, they're here. Not our guys. Federal guys, DEA and ICE. 2 teams. They're swarming the dock. They've got night vision. Dushku's men are blind. They're running right into them." I covered my mouth. He hadn't sent his men. He'd sent the government. The dossier he gave the DA, it wasn't just financials. It had the shipping manifests, the arrival times. They've got Dushku," Enzo said, the sound of shouting in the background. "He's in cuffs. They're taking the whole crew. Wait." A pause. Tana, Enzo growled. Ergi Thana. He slipped the net. He was on the edge, near the water. He's in a car. He's on the move, heading for the Verrazano. Let him go, Luca said calmly. Boss, we can cut him off at the toll plaza. No, let him run, Luca repeated. He's wounded. He's terrified. He'll run to the only people he thinks can protect him, and they've been waiting for him. I looked at him, confused. Tana skimmed almost $200,000 from a rival crew in Queens last year, Luca explained, his voice flat. He's been under Dushku's protection. Dushku is gone. Tana is a loose end. The Queen's crew will be very happy to collect on his debt. He had set all the dominoes, and now they were all falling, one by one, while his own hands stayed perfectly clean. He disconnected the call. The penthouse was silent. The war was over. He didn't celebrate. He didn't smile. He just looked tired. The adrenaline of the last few days drained out of me, leaving behind a deep, aching exhaustion. My rib throbbed. My face was stiff. You should rest, he said. I shook my head. I can't be here. In this room. I went to my territory. The staff break room on the 20th floor. It was empty, smelling of stale coffee and disinfectant. I grabbed an ice pack from the freezer, wrapped it in a paper towel, and pressed it to my side, wincing. He found me there 10 minutes later. He just stood in the doorway, watching me. The King of Manhattan, standing in a tiny linoleum-floored break room. Enzo just confirmed, he said, his voice low. Tana, he was collected. The Queen's crew found him. It's done. Dushku is being processed. Tana is gone. The network is dark. You won, I whispered. He shook his head, walking slowly into the room. This doesn't feel like winning. It just feels quiet. He stopped in front of me. He looked at the ice pack, then at the fading, ugly bruise on my cheek. He reached out, his hand hesitating for a fraction of a second before his fingers gently touched my unbruised skin. His thumb was warm. He can't hurt you anymore, Maya. I looked up at him. The power, the control, the ice, it was all gone. He wasn't Luca Viscari, the boss. He was just a man who looked like he hadn't slept in a week. I leaned in, just a tiny bit, my body acting before my brain could stop it. He met me halfway. The kiss wasn't what I'd read about in books. It wasn't fireworks or a sudden fire. It was slow and hesitant and achingly real. It was chapped lips and the faint taste of the coffee he'd been drinking all night. It was an exhale. It wasn't triumph. It was just, we're still breathing. When he pulled back, he just rested his forehead against mine for a second. The next morning, I woke up on a cot in the staff's quiet room. He'd had someone bring me a blanket. I walked to the hotel laundry, my real home base. The sun was just rising, streaming through the high, dusty windows, illuminating the steam from the industrial presses. It smelled like bleach and hot cotton. A small television in the manager's office was on, the volume low. Sweeping federal indictment of Arben Dushku, the anchor woman was saying, alleged to be the head of a vast money laundering and racketeering enterprise. I checked my phone. The trashy influencer sites were gone. The videos of me were gone. The comments were gone. The internet was silent. Luca found me there, standing between a row of rolling canvas bins. Enzo's men are cleaning up Dushku's media network, he said. It's all being scrubbed. He looked at the rising sun. The DA is pleased. He offered me Dushku's territory, Staten Island, Red Hook, said he'd look the other way as long as the crime rate dropped. This was it, the final move, the reason for the whole war, to take more. I looked at him, waiting. He shook his head, turning his gaze to me. I told him no. Why, I breathed. You won. I made a promise, and he said, to Father Rinaldi, to the council, I keep what I can protect. He looked at me, and I knew. In that moment, he wasn't talking about docks or neighborhoods. I pulled out my phone, my old, cracked, personal phone. I thought about the $61,000 mountain of debt. I thought about the shifts I was missing. My fingers hovered over my manager's contact. I typed out the message. I need to take 3 shifts off. I need to heal. I hit send. It was the first time in my life I had ever put myself before the debt. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving, I was choosing to heal. My 3 days off were a strange, hazy quiet. My body began to knit itself back together. The cracked ribs settled from a sharp, stabbing pain into a deep, purple ache. The swelling on my face subsided, leaving behind a sickly yellow-green map of the attack. When I returned to the Sancta Roche, I was met not by my housekeeping supervisor, but by Enzo. "Mister, Viscari has authorized a departmental transfer for you," he said, his voice polite but firm. He wasn't asking. I was no longer Maya Delgado, the ghost with the cleaning cart. I was now administrative liaison, private floor. My new desk was in a small, windowless office just off the main security hub, but it was mine. My new job was not cleaning, it was managing. I scheduled the high-end maintenance crews for the penthouse. I vetted the food and wine suppliers. And, in a move I knew came directly from Luca, I was put in charge of night shift welfare. This meant I was managing the schedules and safety protocols for the very women I used to work with. I was no longer invisible. I was the one responsible for seeing them. It was a kind of power I wasn't used to, quiet and built on spreadsheets. But it was real. The first paycheck was significant. It was almost double my old salary. I sat in my car, looking at the number, and did the math. The $61,000 mountain. It was still a mountain, but for the first time, I could see a path. 2 days later, the mountain vanished. I got a letter in the mail, forwarded from the hospital's billing department. It was a single page. Your outstanding balance of $61,342.18 has been paid in full by an anonymous donation from the New York Civic Restoration Fund. Your account is now at zero. Zero? I stared at the word. It didn't feel real. I should have felt relief. I should have felt joy. I felt a cold, white-hot spike of anger. He didn't even ask. I drove to the St. Roch. I didn't go to my new office. I took the private elevator to the penthouse. I used the staff key code I now possessed. He was there, on a call, standing by the window. He saw me, saw the look on my face, and said a polite goodbye into his phone before hanging up. "You had no right," I said. My voice was shaking. I held up the letter. He didn't pretend. "It's done." That was my debt, Luca. It was my responsibility. It was the one thing in my life that was mine to fix. "Why, it was a liability, ma'am," he said, his voice calm, but with that edge of steel I knew so well. It was a weakness. It was a number they could use to leverage you, or Nico. I removed it. "You removed it," I repeated, the word tasting like acid. "You don't just remove things. Luca, you didn't pay it off. You bought it. You bought me." He took a step closer. The air between us crackled. "You think you're for sale, Maya for $61,000. I don't know. I don't want to find out. I don't want to be in your debt. I can't. That's worse than the hospital." He stopped, just a foot away. "This isn't debt," he said, his voice low and intense. "It's not a transaction, it's care. I saw something that was hurting you and I took it away, that's all. You don't owe me anything." "That's the problem," I cried. "You don't just get to decide what hurts me and take it away. You can't just fix my life like you fix a corrupt shipping dock. This is my life." He looked at me for a long time. I was heaving, my eyes burning. I had just yelled at Luca Viscari. "I can't undo it," he said finally. "The money is gone. The debt is gone. What you do now, that is your life. Yell at me. Be angry. But you are not in debt. You're free." I wasn't free. I was just tied to him in a new way. We didn't solve it. The argument hung between us, a new, unspoken tension. He was right about one thing. The $61,000 was gone. The weight was off my shoulders, and I hated him for it, and I loved him for it. The changes kept coming. Luca's community fund, the one he'd promised the DA, became real. He didn't just clean up Dushku's mess, he started rebuilding. He approached Nico. I was there for the conversation, my arms crossed, watching. "I have a job for you," Luca said to him. Not a request. Nico, still shamed by the burner phone incident, just stared at his feet. "It's part-time. It pays $15 an hour. You'll be painting. We're funding a new city arts program. You and a crew will be covering gang graffiti in your neighborhood. Bushwick, Red Hook." Nico looked up. Hope in his eyes. Painting, just painting. "Just painting," Luca confirmed. Nico took the job. 2 weeks later, I saw him on his way home, splattered in blue and white paint, exhausted, but smiling. I caught Luca visiting the site one afternoon, watching Nico from his car. When he got back to the hotel, I asked him about it. He just shrugged. "The kid's got a good heart." He paused, then told me what he'd said to Nico in private. "I told him this is a choice. You can build things, or you can do what I do. Don't become me. Nico, be better." Meanwhile, the city was reacting. With Dushku in federal custody, the papers went on a feeding frenzy. The U.S. Attorney's Office expanded the case. Every day, there was a new headline. Dushku's reign of terror, how the Albanian mob used rent hikes and gambling debts to control 3 boroughs. The stories of the people he'd hurt came pouring out. Families illegally evicted, small business owners forced to pay protection, and in every story, the unspoken hero was the Vescari organization, the force that had finally brought him down. Luca's reputation as a protector was solidified. He was no longer just a rumored boss, he was a public figure of neighborhood justice, and as Enzo warned him, that kind of spotlight was dangerous. The feds, who had been so grateful for the tip-off, were now watching Luca with a new, intense interest. This new pressure made Luca possessive. "I want you to move into the St. Roach," he said one night. We were in the penthouse. I was supposed to be there working. He had made me stay for dinner. "I have an apartment. Luca, you have a box in Bushwick with a new lock." He corrected me. "I want you here, on the 35th floor. We have residential suites. You'd have a key, you'd have security, you'd be safe." The golden cage. He was offering it again. The girl with no debt, with a high-paying job, living in a penthouse suite. He was offering me everything I should have wanted. "No." He stopped, his fork halfway to his mouth. "No. No," I said, my voice firm. "I won't be a bird in a cage. Luca, even a beautiful one." I stood up, walking to the window. "What we have, it's real, but it only stays real if I'm me. And me lives in Bushwick. Me has a brother and a rescue dog." I turned to face him. "I need to choose to be here, every day. I don't want to wake up one morning and find that I've just been owned, that I'm just another beautiful thing you acquired." He stood up, walking to me, and he looked angry, frustrated. But underneath it, I saw something else, respect. "So you'll just go back there? After everything, what if they come back?" "Maya." "Then we make a deal," I said, "like you do." He raised an eyebrow. "The driver stays, the car on my street stays, I'll stay here 3 nights a week. But 4 nights, I go home, to my life." He stared at me, then a slow smile touched the corner of his mouth. 4 nights, he agreed. "You drive a hard bargain, Miss Delgado." The next day, he called me to the service elevator. "I have something for you." It wasn't a gift, it was a key, a single old-fashioned brass key. "It opens the roof access door, past the penthouse laundry," he said. I took it, confused. I went up. The door opened onto a small, hidden terrace I never knew existed. It was a rooftop garden, surrounded by the glittering, concrete canyon of Manhattan. Here was a small square of real grass. There were terracotta planters, empty for the winter, and a single iron bench. It was quiet. The roar of the city was just a distant whisper. "It was my mother's," he said, coming up behind me. "She used to come up here. She hated the noise." He pointed to the planters. "In the spring, you could grow basil." He didn't give me jewelry. He didn't give me a car. He gave me a patch of quiet, a place to read, a space that was mine, tucked inside the heart of his empire. The peace lasted less than a week. Enzo found me in my new office, his face grim. "We have a problem, a new one." He showed me a legal summons. Dushku's network was gone, but his lawyers were still working. "Yeah, they're filing a civil suit," Enzo said, "on behalf of Dorian Dawes Cola. They're claiming false imprisonment, assault, and emotional distress. They're subpoenaing you, Maya. They're going to put you on the stand and paint you as a liar, as Luca's accomplice." It was the sentimental attack he'd warned about. They couldn't win on the street, so they were coming for me in court. They were going to use my trauma, my attack, and twist it into a weapon against Luca. The old Maya would have crumbled. The old Maya would have run. I looked at the summons. I thought about the women on the night shift. I thought about the walk to the 50th Street station. "No," I said, my voice clear. "No, what are we going to do? Our lawyers can try to quash it." "No," I said, standing up. "We're not going to fight it. We're going to get in front of it." Enzo looked confused. "They want to talk about what happened to me in that alley," I said, a cold, hard anger rising in me. "Fine. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about all of it." I went to the hotel's public relations manager. I told her my plan. "I want to announce the formation of the St. Roche Night Shift Staff Council," I said, my voice not shaking. "I'm the new chair. We're going to hold a public forum. We're going to invite the press. And we're going to tell our stories. Not just mine, everyone's. The harassment, the assaults, the fear of walking home." The PR manager looked intrigued. "And then," I continued, "the Vescari Corporation, as a leader in urban labor safety, is going to announce a new policy, a $500,000 fund for subsidized taxi vouchers for any employee working after 10 p.m. Enzo, who had followed me, just stared. I was taking Dushku's narrative and burning it to the ground. This wasn't a mafia boss protecting his property anymore. This was a corporation protecting its employees. This was labor rights. This was a clean story. I looked at Enzo. "Tell Luca. We're changing the conversation." The hearing room at City Hall was too bright. The wood paneling was old. The air smelled like floor wax and old paper. My hands were clammy, my new, professional blazer feeling stiff on my shoulders. Enzo sat in the third row. Luca was not here. This was my fight, on my ground. Dushku's civil suit had evaporated. The moment our press release about the Night Shift Staff Council hit the news, their lawyers had filed for a continuance. They had wanted to drag me into a dark alley of a courtroom. I had dragged them into the full glare of a public hearing. They had no narrative left. My name was called. Miss Maya Delgado, chair of the St. Roche Night Shift Staff Council. I walked to the podium. I didn't look at my notes. I looked at the 5 council members. "Good morning," I said, my voice steady, amplified by the microphone. "My name is Maya Delgado. For 8 months, I worked the night shift at a luxury hotel in Midtown. And every night, at 1 or 2, or sometimes 3 in the morning, I would walk to the subway. I didn't talk about Arben Dushku. I didn't mention Luca Vescari. I didn't even describe my attack. I described the walk. I described the sound your shoes make on an empty street, how you count the seconds between footsteps behind you. I talked about how you hold your keys between your fingers, even though you know it won't really help. I talked about the choice you make to walk down a better lit street, even if it adds 10 minutes to your commute, because the alley smells like trouble. I spoke for 4 minutes. I told my story, not the story of an attack, but the story of the fear of an attack. And when I was done, I looked at them. The women and men who clean your offices, stock your shelves, and guard your buildings, we deserve to get home safely. This isn't a special request. This is a baseline of urban safety. The room was silent. The council voted unanimously. They approved a pilot program, the Night Shift Safe Corridors, funded 50% by the city, 50% by a matching funds corporate grant, a grant that Luca had, of course, already anonymously endowed. My picture was in the paper the next day, not as a victim, as an advocate. Luca's world was changing too. His community fund and the successful, high-profile takedown of Dushku had given him a new kind of power. He was no longer a shadow. The city council, the same one I had spoken to, sent him a formal invitation. They wanted him on the new Public-Private Urban Safety Advisory Board. I was with him in the penthouse when he took the call. "I will accept," he said, his voice all business, "on 2 conditions." He listened. First, all contracts for the community funds, all security bids are fully transparent, public record. I will not be accused of backroom deals. Another pause. Second, the mandate of this board is not, and will not be, an anti-police platform. We are here to fill the gaps the NYPD is not equipped to fill. We are not here to replace them or, as you put it, smear them. We are a supplement, not an alternative. If those terms are clear, I accept. He hung up. He had just laundered his power. He had taken the authority he held in the shadows and moved it, piece by piece, into the light, where it was untouchable. He was becoming a civic leader. My own life was settling. I was good at my new job. I was organized. I was efficient, but I knew it was a stepping stone. At night, in my apartment in Bushwick, my safe, fortified apartment, I wasn't just resting, I was studying. I had enrolled in an online certification program for facility management. It was the next step up. It was logistics, budgeting, infrastructure. It was the career path I needed. My dream was simple. It wasn't a penthouse. It was a 2-bedroom apartment, maybe in a safer part of Queens, or further into Brooklyn. 1 room for me, 1 for Nico, a small balcony for Lima, a place I could buy with my own money. The $61,000 he'd paid was gone, but it had lit a fire in me. I would never be in that position again. I would never be bought again, not even by him. I would be his partner, not his property. The next time I stayed at the St. Roche, I couldn't sleep. It was almost dawn. I took the brass key and went up to the roof. The city was a soft, bruised gray. The air was cold and clean. I sat on the iron bench, pulling my coat tight, watching the sky. I heard the door open. Luca? He was in a dark sweater, his hair rumpled, like he'd just woken up. He didn't say anything, just sat on the bench, leaving a respectful foot of space between us. We watched the light change. We watched the gray turn to a pale, metallic blue, then to a hesitant gold that struck the top of the Chrysler building. "When I was 20, he said, his voice quiet, just for me. My father was still alive. He was a different kind of man, louder, more traditional. He told me that power was fear. He said a real boss was a man whose name made the entire city tremble before sunrise. I listened, not looking at him, just at the light. I believed him for a long time, he continued, his voice rough. I thought strength was making everyone afraid of you, making them run. He paused, and the silence stretched, filled only by the distant, waking hum of the city. Then I found you in that hallway, he said, and you were so broken and so angry, and you still tried to lie to me to protect your job. He turned his head, his dark eyes on my face. I've spent the last few weeks making this city safer, but it wasn't for the city. Maya, I was just trying to make it safe for you. I realized I was wrong. I don't care if the city trembles. I just care that you don't. He looked back at the sunrise. All these years, I thought real power was making 1,000 people afraid. Turns out, real power is just keeping the right one person safe. My throat was tight, the ache in my side, the ghost of my cracked rib, gave a little twinge. I turned to him. Your justice it's a hard thing. Luca, it's cold. What you did to Duz. To Barty, what you set in motion for Tana, that's not good. It's terrifying. He looked at me, his face unreadable, ready for the judgment. But the coffee, I whispered, remembering how I take it, giving Nico a job painting walls instead of something else, the taxi vouchers for the other women, this garden. I looked at our hands, his resting on his knee, mine clenched on the bench. Your justice is harsh, I said, but your kindness, that's what makes it bearable. That's what makes it not dark. I'm not here because you're powerful. Luca, I'm here because you're kind." He let out a breath, a shaky, human sound I'd never heard from him before. He covered my hand with his. His palm was warm in the cold air. He didn't make a speech. He didn't make a promise of forever. He just looked me in the eye, the full, unfiltered, golden light of the new morning on his face. "I love you, Maya." The words were simple, no fanfare, just a fact, like the sun rising. My eyes burned. I love you, too. We didn't promise forever. We didn't promise it would be easy. We just promised, in that quiet, to keep doing right, every day. We sat there for a long time, watching the city wake up. My new phone, the one for my job, buzzed in my pocket, not the secure phone, my work phone. I pulled it out, annoyed at the intrusion. It was a text from an unknown number. There was no introduction, just an image. My blood turned to ice. It was a close-up photo of a woman's arm, held in a tight, four-fingered grip. The bruises were dark, purple and black, a handprint, just like mine. Under the image, a single word. "Help!" I just stared at it. The problem wasn't Dushku. Dushku was just a symptom. The problem was the world. My hand was shaking. Luca, who'd been watching the sun, turned to me. He saw my face, saw the color drain from it. He looked down at the phone in my hand. He saw the image. He saw the bruises. He saw the word. He didn't sigh. He didn't look angry. He didn't look tired. He just looked resolved. He looked at me, and he gave a single, sharp nod. I knew, and he knew. The battle was over, but the work was just beginning. My thumb hovered over the screen, ready to reply. The old question, the one that had started everything, was back. But this time, it wasn't a question of fear. It was a plan of action. Who did this to her?